Okay, we have the green bars, we have the live counter sticking up, so we should now be live, which of course means welcome back to the Storytime Network. It is the Paradox Hour podcast, and it is the long-awaited Roast of Naruto. We're going to make some enemies with this.
Oh, we absolutely will.
You think Sasuke has Sakura transform into Naruto before doing the deed?
Welcome back, Fuzzy.
You assume that Sasuke did the deed more than once.
So here's the thing. The reason I have to assume that is because I cannot imagine she would not take advantage of it.
Let's actually get to the subject of this roast, before we get sidetracked too much.
Jack, you know who we are.
I
know. I'm trying to be...
You know we are sidetracked
We
central.
are, for legal reasons, a podcast consisting of two individuals with undiagnosed ADHD.
It says something that I'm diagnosed and I'm still, like, the most tame one.
Mm. Oh, because you've actually gotten help for it, I would assume.
Most likely.
Yeah. Anyways.
What we're trying to say is this is not... If you came here for flawless, unsidetracked content, that's not...
Yes, I'm aware.
I mean, first things first, this is a stream and not like a set video where we, have a script or anything. Certainly I've got no fucking preparation materials. I just got the Naruto wiki and Naruto TV tropes up, so...
Probably a good move. But yes, let's get started on talking about Naruto and all of its many, many flaws.
I mean, the worst part is that there is actually, I would say the middle period of part 1 is actually good.
I'd go further and say that most of part 1 and like the first third or so of part 2 is at least decent.
I would say from about midway through the tuning exams to the end of part 1, I was fairly on board.
Oh, I can agree with that, yeah. That's probably the peak of Naruto writing-wise, besides maybe, like, the pain stuff.
I didn't like the pain stuff.
I did say maybe.
I would say there's maybe a little bit in there. I mean, the Tsunade stuff was... got a little choppy. I mean, I'm one of those people who's in the very, probably quite rare camp of, I don't really care about Jiraiya.
Jiraiya is basically like a slightly better executed Master Roshi.
I prefer Master Roshi.
Okay, speak on that.
I mean, to be fair, most of my exposure to Master Roshi is the abridged version, which, takes advantage...
there's your problem.
takes advantage of that fact. But even then, like, Master Roshi went to the trouble of getting his good friend Jackie Chun to enter multiple world martial arts tournaments to help his pupils. I don't see Jiraiya doing that.
Nah, you don't.
Realize Jiraiya's social circle.
I mean, yes, Jiraiya's social circle is a social circle of 2, one of which is Tsunade, and the other of which is Orochimaru.
No, he has a social circle of 3 people, plus, like, half the sex workers in the world.
But I also recognize that there is a 20-year gap between between Dragon Ball and Naruto.
Yes.
Things changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
As a result,
A little
Jiraiya
bit.
didn't push the boundaries quite as far. It doesn't excuse what Roshi did, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway. So... Again, I don't know whether
one
this...
and a good chunk of part 2 is at least passing, if not good.
Mm.
The issue is the entire last third of the manga is just
dog
a
shit.
horribly paced train wreck.
I'm gonna be honest, the only bit of part 2 that I really actually like is the fucking
Shikamaru part?
Shikamaru stuff.
Yeah. That's good. That's actually pretty good. I wish that much quality writing went into the rest of the Konoha 12 besides, you know, Shikamaru, Naruto, and Sasuke.
I mean,
Because
that's
the
pretty
rest of them don't get nearly that much development.
I mean, that's pretty much it for Shikamaru. One
I
arc.
know, and it says a lot that he still gets the third most development, probably, out of all of that cohort.
But it says something that it's Shikamaru and not Sakura.
Yep.
I mean, we've already talked a fair amount about Kishimoto's
Naruto's
issues
handling of female characters.
with writing female characters. We're gonna be touching upon it again.
It wouldn't be a roast of Naruto without touching on it.
No,
If we're being
because it
honest.
is one of the glaring, like failures of that series.
So, okay.
Also,
can we
I
establish
just want to make a point of we're not touching Boruto. I don't think any of us here
People
have
touched
even.
Naruto?
I don't think any of us have even read or watched any Boruto beyond maybe
There's
the
no
movie.
reason to. There's no reason to. Why would I bother?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I didn't even finish Naruto.
Oh yeah, all of your knowledge about like the final stretch of Naruto is secondhand, huh?
It is basically from watching somebody play fucking Ninja Storm 4.
God.
Which, to be fair, do you know what's really funny about that?
Yeah, the
Ninja Storm is probably the optimal way to experience
Yeah.
Naruto.
No, that's not... the funniest part is that Ninja Storm is better.
Mm.
So, your experience with the end of Nart is actually better than ours.
Mm. Also, you know,
Quality is better.
also the voice cast was the neutral Spanish, so you know, obviously the superior dub as well.
Look, I'm all for memes, but I don't like content creator memes that much.
But
Like,
yeah,
just something about like memes like neutral Spanish just don't.
But even
I
then, I barely remember anything from the end of Naruto. I mean, I don't even know I can't remember exactly where I stopped. I know what I remember from the last volume that I read was the Kages going after, I think it must have been Madara.
It was, yes.
And I'm fairly sure they were getting their asses handed to them.
They were, yes.
Like the
Yeah,
old-
Madara was bodying everyone.
I believe the old guy had just gotten taken out when I stopped reading.
So there's an important thing you need to understand.
Mm.
There was precedent for
For Madara being ridiculously overpowered.
No. There was not any of that. No. There was precedent for Akutami, if you catch my meaning.
Right.
Overpowered antagonists who require a lot of bullshit to defeat.
Yes. It was literally impossible to defeat without contrivances. Plot contrivances.
So the thing is with Madara like Kishimoto was the absolute, throat goat at sucking Madara off.
But that's the incredibly stupid thing, though, and I'm sure we'll get onto this in the end as well, is that after all this effort into, as you said, sucking Madara inside out, Kishimoto then goes to the trouble of just going, fuck Madara, I'm gonna introduce a new overall villain to end the story. And it's
I
just
think
like...
he did that in no small part because he couldn't figure out a way to make Madara beatable because he made him too overpowered. Which, is pretty damning in and of itself.
You know what would have been good, right? That is far too much to expect of the likes of Kishimoto.
Go on.
If Guy had actually taken out Madara.
That would have been so fucking cool, but no. We would never be blessed with such a thing.
Anyway, do we wanna start with like broad strokes issues, or do we wanna go more in depth?
So I was gonna say
broad strokes and then focus in.
Broad strokes, but also we shouldn't. We can talk about some specific stuff. I do believe there is something worth talking about regarding Bort, not in the sense of Bort as a series itself, but in the sense of it being an epilogue and just a sense of what the characters are after the end of the story. Is that something that you don't get the chance to see and do too often with shonen? You don't very often get to see consequences of the choices that the characters make.
True.
And on that subject, I would... You know what? Let's take turns discussing a specific topic.
Okay. Can I start?
Yes.
Let's just rip the band-aid off and talk about the female characters in Naruto and how poorly handled they are compared to the male characters.
No. That's I think that's too. That's more of a mid-segment thing.
Then the pacing issues.
Okay. Yes, that's fine.
Because Naruto, contrary to popular belief, in the manga at least, the pacing is fairly good for most of its run up until the Fourth Great Shinobi War arc, where the pacing immediately fucking craters in quality. It is just so poorly handled.
They spent over 100 chapters on a war arc that never felt like a war.
Yeah, no, it's like mostly a bunch of one-on-one fights, which, it can be executed well that way if it's much more like a raid or some shit. But like, that's not what a war is.
They were facing off against, like, 400,000
white Zetsus.
Zetsu?
Yeah, like, the issue is, everything that's happening is so spread out. So there is no connection with anything else that is happening. And I'm gonna go back to this. When I stopped reading Naruto was around the time I started reading One Piece. I read Marineford.
The comparison must have...
I don't care. This is my example. When I think of a war arc done well compared to Naruto's Fourth Great Shinobi War, I think of Marineford, because that is a big battle, a big war, in a small space, everyone fucking attacking everyone.
So,
you might get a few moves of a one-on-one, and then somebody else just comes crashing in, breaking it up. It's chaos.
Yeah, because war is first and foremost hectic as fuck.
Yes, it's a good example, but I will say Marineford is more of a large-scale battle than a war.
Don't care. Don't care.
You know that I am loath to say. You know what? No, this isn't positive. You know why Marineford feels like a better war arc?
Yeah.
Because it's not a realistic war. Realism is not. I don't know why there are people who insist that realism equals better automatically.
Because they're idiots.
Yes, because let's face it. While the Fourth Great Shinobi War is awful, it is realistic. In the sense that that's kind of how wars go.
It's not really, because again, wars don't have a series of one-on-one battles between the top combatants.
Okay, well that that aside, I'm saying more in the sense of the scale, the distance between each thing happening.
Yeah, the disparate battles taking place across like multiple battlefields are vastly
Across the
separated.
world,
Is
yeah, that
the war.
yes, but that's realistic. Doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, no, because that kind of pacing is difficult unless you dedicate like a massive story to it. Like, say, like, I know there are issues with the Song of Ice and Fire, but like the War of the Five Kings is a very properly illustrated war because you get multiple battles. A lot of them take place off screen, of course, but like you get the sense that hey, it's a proper long-term engagement across multiple battlefields. And I don't think Naruto sells that nearly as well.
Or at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how many
Because,
characters?
again, it's mostly just duels.
Yeah, how many characters
And
do we
small
actually
skirmishes.
care about that are involved in the big actual battles with the Zetsus?
Most of the Zetsus are just like jobber or
They're
fodder rather.
literally it's like jobbers versus jobbers.
Yeah.
So this is, do you know what? The war arc pacing, war in general, is a symptom of something that shonen writers didn't understand until more recently. Though it's one of those things that's still shaky in its understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even among the modern shonen, war arcs have kind of happened. But the thing is, when you are in a fantasy world, you must always ask yourself what the power disparity is between the power floor and the power ceiling.
Mm.
And then you must ask yourself, is that disparity something that can at any point be overcome with numbers? If the answer to that question is no, then a large-scale war with a large number of fighters not only becomes meaningless outside of universe, it should realistically be meaningless in universe as well.
Mm.
There are exceptions to that, of course. Like, I know Cradle
getting to-
handles it pretty well.
I'm getting to that. The exception to that is when you set it up in a situation of nuclear mutually assured destruction.
Yes, I do agree with that. So,
Which is how Cradle handles.
Yes.
Where they let the lower power individuals fight it out because the high power individuals are literally walking tactical nukes.
Yeah, because there'd be a shit ton of collateral damage if they actually got involved. Or
Yes,
at the very
and
least,
they-
like, got involved without,
and-
like, severely limiting their power.
And they understand that total war will inevitably lead to extinction.
Mm-hmm.
It's the case in Cradle, and it's something that should be the case in Narc. And in a lot of shonen, for example, that's what JJK is doing. Right? They
Yeah.
literally handled the walking WMDs as walking WMDs.
Mm.
And they get very tactically deployed.
Yes. So, it's something similar in Demon Slayer as well. Where they acknowledge that sending in there's a lot of Demon Slayers, apparently. But they acknowledge that sending in the grunts will literally accomplish nothing.
They only have so many Hashira to deploy, and they're spread pretty thin with that.
Yes, but no, in the final battle, they're just like, yeah, no, there's no point bringing the grunts. We're just gonna do an all-out assault with
With our best. Yeah.
Our best. Yeah, with our elites.
That's also the case
So-
with One Piece, too, because it's a whole thing of, like,
Yeah.
the Emperors are, like, basically in a tentative non-aggression pact against each other, and that they don't actively go after each other. And
and
the
the
Marines
fact-
try their damnedest not to get involved with them either, if they can help
Yes,
it.
and and the fact of the matter is, as Luffy demonstrated, but as it's clearly implied with all the emperors, Oda has a system for it built in.
Mm-hmm.
Conquerors. It automatically has a system whereby the mooks fight mooks and the elites fight elites. Because if they didn't, one burst of conquerors is enough to take everyone out.
Mm-hmm.
Take all the mooks out, rather. And that's why you have a battle like the Onigashima fight, where, yes, the mooks are taking on the mooks, but they're all doing it with the understanding that their conflict only matters in terms of cleanup.
Yep.
At least in the
It's
on the
stated
side
multiple times that whoever wins the rooftop fight is the ultimate ultimate winner.
Yeah, and like we see it from the samurai point of view, and the samurai are all like, no, we're here just for cleanup and to make sure no one disturbs the big boys.
Mm-hmm. And the one time, like, a bunch of goons get involved in the rooftop fight, they get their asses fucking wrecked.
Immediately, yes. And so, do you know what? I know why this didn't occur to Kishimoto.
Why do you think?
Because Kishimoto, from day one, did not have any idea of what the ceiling was going to be. As opposed to more structured writers who established the ceiling day one. Like, as much as Demon Slayer has its flaws, it established Muzan as the ceiling very early on.
Yes.
Muzan and his abilities.
Yes.
Sorry,
Similarly, Jujutsu Kaisen does it pretty early on with Sukuna and Gojo.
With Sukuna and Gojo, yeah. So, One Piece did it as well. Oh,
Yep. Shanks and Whitebeard.
Shanks and Whitebeard, yes. And the thing is, Kishimoto introduced theoretical power ceilings very early on and then discarded. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
I'm assuming the third Hokage's fight with Orochimaru.
Yes. That is exactly it.
Yeah, it's a good it would have been a great example of establishing the power ceiling.
In universe, first, second, and third in his prime are all existences at the power ceiling.
Yes. And the
that
third has the Whitebeard thing going on. He's old and past his prime, but he's still got it to a degree.
Yes, and that was established. But the problem is that Kishimoto lacked the discipline and internal consistency to stick to that as the power ceiling. And so
honestly,
by the time... Yes?
He could have just scaled Madara to be just slightly stronger than that, and that would have been fine. But he had to go and escalate the power ceiling well beyond that.
He didn't just escalate Madara, he escalated everyone.
I said the power ceiling, not Madara.
Yeah. No, because here's the thing. The stuff that Sage Mode Jiraiya was showing off would have taken out first, second, and third in their based on what they were showing during their fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes no sense.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with Nart's power scaling is the lack of internal consistency. Because he showed the ceiling early, yes, but then he scaled it up so much that the characters who were supposed to be at the ceiling looked like chump change. And then he scaled it further so that those characters became ungodly powerful.
Yeah, he retconned his bullshit.
Yeah.
Which, is not usually the sign of a good writer.
No, and it's like, well, here's the thing. I'm all for retcons when used creative.
Oh, absolutely. Or you could just be just like straight up retroactive reveals of like, oh, this is something that they were keeping hidden for X, Y, or Z reasons, or some bullshit like that.
A retcon that makes sense is acceptable, and more importantly, possible.
Sometimes a retcon that makes sense is just like treated as a reveal rather than a retcon.
Yes. And Kishimoto is clearly in canon. So yes, the issue of scale, and this, look, as much as I'd like to believe there's people watching this, maybe not, maybe if one day we make it big, people will go through our old material.
Maybe.
Just to embarrass us.
Yeah.
And theoretically, my desk could spontaneously transmute into gold through quantum tunneling.
It's a matter of theory.
I was hoping it would happen. I was hoping it would happen for comedic timing, but it didn't, and I'm not rich, so I will have to continue talking. But comedic timing and comedy aside, the fact of the matter is, if you are a prospective writer, something to remember. Either introduce your power ceiling early on, and then stick to it, or just don't have a power ceiling at all, which is not ideal. But
that's how you get Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
that's so that you get Dragon Ball and Blech.
Yeah,
because even Blech did that to a certain.
I do think it is possible to have a flexible power ceiling, or have like a set power ceiling, but also establish that there's other stuff beyond that that doesn't follow those rules. But you gotta be very careful with that shit.
Yeah, that's something that is more of an advanced technique. If you're an amateur writer, that's not something you want to.
Don't fuck with it.
Okay.
But speaking of comedy and comedic timing, the comedy in Naruto can be very hit or miss. Like, a lot of the comedy involving, like, Jiraiya or, like, tsundere bullshit involving Sakura, for example, very, very, very hit or miss, at best. And then you have, like, other comedic stuff. Sometimes it's funny, like, Shikamaru constantly bitching about having to do work and actually doing really well at it. That's a funny bit.
That's not comedy, that's just...
relatable.
Yes, I'm aware.
Can we establish something, though?
Yes.
Probably Shikamaru is one of the best characters in the series.
Oh, almost certainly.
One of.
Look, I will make an argument for Guy.
Guy is also very well written, I think, compared to, like, the rest of the cast. Naruto can be well written in some moments here and there himself, but I said some moments. I didn't say overall.
I mean, can we get to, because we were doing each one of ours, or a gripe from each one of us. Can I get to my gripe of Naruto and Sasuke?
Go for it. Oh, we have words about Sasuke.
I mean, Sasuke, yes, in general, but just the relationship between Naruto and Sasuke,
there is no... Yeah, okay, yes, okay, let's talk about this. Let's really, let's go, ankle deep into this. Elbow deep, sorry.
I mean, we can go ankle deep too if you want.
Elbow.
I mean, beyond the fact of, well, first things first, Kishimoto had to, retcon Naruto's backstory to actually give Naruto and Sasuke any kind of a bond before they get together as Team 7.
Wait, did he do that? When did he do that?
Well, it wasn't Naruto's whole thing at the start of the series, oh, woe betide me, I don't have any friends whatsoever, and then suddenly, oh, hey, you have a friend in Sasuke.
Also, I do want to say, the whole thing of Naruto having no friends whatsoever and being, like, an outcast from the village, makes a third Hokage in retrospect seem like an absolute.
No, the third
dipshit.
Hokage is like there is no justifying his actions. He's an idiot or malicious,
Or
but
both.
because of the way it happens, he's just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
And
he's a
irresponsible.
total dipshit for not doing that. For not taking care
Especially
of Naruto
given
like
the
he
potential
should have.
consequences.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so dumb.
And not in any way cool.
Yeah.
Would excuse it somewhat.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, the series tries to, establish this strong relationship between Naruto and Sasuke. But
When in actuality, it's just sexual tension.
I wouldn't have gone
I think
that
you're
far.
being too generous to Kishimoto, Fuzzy.
Well, you are forgetting the fact that they were each other's first kiss.
Yeah, okay.
Which is funny because
was
that
something
was
he
censored.
decided-
That was censored when it aired in the U.S.
Like, just think about that. He consciously made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Naruto and Sasuke were each other's first kiss? He made that decision. No one told him to do that. He just
I
decided.
don't know if he thought it was wouldn't it be cool. I think his thought was wouldn't it be funny. Which, similar, but not quite the same thought process.
But yeah, anyway. Time after time, Kishimoto tries to make these, big emotional moments based on the relationship between Naruto and Sasuke, and
There is,
for the most part, they fall flat. I would say the only one that really lands is the one at the end of part 1.
There is no logical reason whatsoever for Naruto to care about Sasuke as much as he does.
Mm-hmm.
None. No logical reason, no emotional reason either. Because he is, even in the beginning, it's established before the retcon that he had friends.
Yeah.
Kamaru, Choji, and Kiba were his friends, even when it meant getting into trouble. Hinata was literally, in love with him since they were children. There were people who cared about... He had a dad! Niruka, there were people who cared about him!
Can we just talk about how wasted as a character Iruka was?
Iruka actually did anything past the first arc?
No,
Exactly.
he didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much potential to explore with him.
No, but do you know what? Do you know what is so tricked up in hindsight? The driving plot of Nart is that he is an attention whore who requires the validation of complete strangers to feel good about himself. Can you honestly say that that is not a realistic reading of Nart's character?
No.
It's not unrealistic, that's for sure.
Literally, even surrounded by people who love him, by a small, close-knit group of people who love him, he was still fixated on the fact that
He was an outcast as a child, yes.
the common idiot didn't like him.
Yeah.
There are so many reasons that's stupid, I don't even know where to begin. It makes him feel like an egomaniac, essentially.
Honestly, I feel like Kishimoto wanted to have his cake and eat it too. If Kishimoto had stuck with one or the other, of Naruto was friendless growing up, or Naruto had friends growing up, but felt unfulfilled anyways, it would have made more sense. But he splits the difference, and it makes it weaker as results. But yes, making Sasuke the first most important friend he makes also is dumb. Because Sasuke is this aloof asshole, and they don't get along at all to start with. it would have been nice if Kishimoto leaned more into the idea of, them growing closer as friends as they face hardships together, but
No
they're
point.
still hostile assholes to each other for like most of their time together as Team 7.
That's the thing though, is that if you look through their relationship, Land of Waves, they start to actually get along, and then there's that again. It's meant to be this big emotional moment, and it falls flat because it's not. It just doesn't feel earned of Sasuke giving his life for Naruto. It doesn't feel earned. I'm sorry. Then you get to the tuning exams, and again, there's the closest net there a little bit, but if I remember correctly, around this time is when Sasuke starts to, get some resentment for Naruto, if I'm remembering correctly.
Because that's
think
around the time he meets Itachi.
Yeah, I think he meets Itachi right before the tuning exams, or right after. I don't remember which. It's been a minute.
My question would be, when is that moment where Sasuke and Naruto are about to wail on each other with their special moves, and Kakashi has to step in?
I think that's right before the tuning exams. I could be wrong.
I
believe it's after.
I thought it was after the tuning exams, because at least one of them was in the hospital.
Right.
Because
So speaking of the tuning exams, actually, I'll let you finish your thought first.
because it was after Naruto had met Jiraiya, because he had the Rasengan by then, or at least the precursor to the Rasengan by then.
Mm-hmm.
And Sasuke had been taught the Chidori.
So yeah, that was after the tuning exams, because Naruto learned the Rasengan for the final part of that arc.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I believe it was after tuning exams. So then you get the Tsunade arc, where Sasuke isn't much of a factor, if I'm remembering correctly.
He's not present.
Yeah.
He's not even there. They're doing that arc.
And then
that's a Naruto Jiraiya joint.
Yeah, and then the final arc is, or final arc part 1 is Sasuke defecting. And then Naruto is like, I have to get my dear friend back, and it's like, you okay? I can understand wanting to get a comrade back, and not wanting a potentially dangerous ninja to go over to Orochimaru, but dear friend, like, getting close to brother relationship? I'm not really reading that.
They don't do a good enough job at establishing how it could become ride or die, like they do in a lot of other shonen series.
Like, the rivalry aspect is built up well, but the issue is that the narrative is trying to...
It's trying to sell you on a friendship rather than a rivalry.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And this is something that I've been thinking about. Is the writing bad? Yes. Is realistic not good, or not automatically equal to good? Also yes. Do you know how that ties together?
I'm not asking for realism, I'm just asking for
No.
built up
No.
writing.
Do you know how I intend to tie those two things together?
No.
Mabel.
Right.
The cast of Naruto in Part 1 are literal 12-year-olds. And they act like literal 12-year-olds.
Was he 12?
I think I see where you're going with this.
12, 13, okay.
They are 12 at the start and like 13 by the end.
That's just the idiocy of it having to have 12-year-olds as part of the cast, but okay, I can sort of get where you're coming from there.
It's not good writing, nor is it a compelling story. But it is 12-year-olds acting like 12-year-olds.
That is true. A lot of children that age do tend to be very.
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all can maybe now understand my gripes with Mabel. Based on this argument.
Your gripe with what now?
With Mabel. Gravity Falls.
Not as much, because...
No. Just because a child is acting like a child doesn't mean it makes for, like, interesting, compelling, or likable storytelling.
Well, my argument would be is that Mabel is a regular 12-year-old girl. These guys have been trained as child soldiers. I'm not sure if that helps my point or hurts it, but... like...
I mean, in a way that does hurt your point, because yes, they are acting the way that 12-year-olds trained as child soldiers would. I.e., very mentally ill. So...
Alright, what's your excuse?
I also don't
what's
know
your
if that hurts
excuse
your
for...
point or hurt.
Yeah, what's your excuse for part 2 then? Where it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Puberty.
I feel like you're assigning... what's the one I'm looking for? Like an out-of-universe explanation to something...
He's trying to do duelist explanation.
No, I'm
doesn't have good Watsonian.
Yeah.
No, I'm assigning a Watsonian explanation to something that doesn't have a duelist explanation.
Right, okay.
It's the person who uses those terms most frequently on this panel. Yes, I understand what I'm doing. And you should understand, I'm not saying this to justify it. I don't think it's justified in any way. You know me, I'm a hater. Hating is what gives me life.
But yes, I do want to go back into the Chunin exams for a second.
Right.
Because that's an example of a very good arc that has a lot of build-up, but a lot of the late game and end game follow-up on it is very weak, or outright bad.
Can I just say one thing, though?
Sure.
When Mill had your turn,
You kind of took over my turn, Fuzzy.
Oh, you had your turn, and then
I also haven't even... I haven't even finished my turn yet, because I haven't really...
Okay, you know what? Go. Let's
Finish.
allow Mill to finish his turn.
Yes.
Because part 2 is where it just gets absolute horseshit, because 2.5 years passes, Sasuke has been nothing but a fucking villain in this time, and Naruto's still like, yeah, I gotta get my friend back. No matter what Sasuke does over the course of part 2, Naruto is still uber, I gotta get my friend back. I gotta get my friend back. He's not your friend anymore. He's been killing people. Literally killing people. I don't care, he's my friend.
To be fair, he didn't actually kill anyone.
I think the first person who's killing he's involved in is Deidara. And Deidara just kind of, self-destructed.
It's implied that he killed people, like, while he was training, for part of his training with Orochimaru, but they were, like, in a world where killing people happens on a regular basis, killing people isn't really that bad. Right? It's the whole murder is relative situation.
Mm-hmm.
Your world is in a constant state of... If your world is built around violence, murder really isn't that big of a sin.
It's not a severe crime compared to some others.
Now, Sasuke's done awful things. Even before the time skip, I just want to clarify that murder is not what I consider one.
I don't remember much from the second part of Naruto. I just jumped on a crime, okay? That I was fairly sure that Sasuke had done, but he might actually not have done.
Yeah, at least on screen, he did not kill anyone until... Oh my god, now that I think about it, he did not kill anyone on screen until after the pain arc.
Wasn't Deidara dead before the pain arc? I'm pretty sure it was Deidara.
No, because Deidara killed himself. Deidara and
Deidara
Itachi both essentially killed themselves.
The first two people that the Naruto Wikipedia, so obviously take it with a grain of salt, says that Sasuke killed was a messenger lizard during the Pain arc, and then Danzo. And we're not,
Oh, yeah,
we're not
fucking
mourning
Danzo.
Danzo.
Danzo
So literally,
sucks.
the messenger during the Pain arc, first person he killed on screen.
Yeah. And
First
then
non-villain he killed
the
on
only
screen.
deaths attributed to him after that, White Zetsu, and then Madara, Tobi, and the remaining White Zetsu clones, along with Naruto.
MFer literally doesn't have a kill count except for one random messenger.
For the most part,
What a
apparently, yeah.
chump. What a fucking chump.
I'm fairly sure Naruto has more deaths to his fucking name.
Probably. We're not going to get into that.
No.
Again, killing is far from the worst crime that's committed in this series. There's, like, so much soul bullshit, too.
You know what's it is bad that he probably did. He did enable Orochimaru.
Yes.
3
Are you
times.
done with...
Not even. Orochimaru is something we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Okay, keep going, Mil. Keep going.
to elaborate on Mill's point a fair bit, there's also the fight between Naruto and Sasuke at the very end, which is supposed to be the payoff to their relationship. The choreography of the fight is fine, but, like,
Okay,
it doesn't have the heft that it should.
I will admit, probably one of the more satisfying things in that fight was when they both ran out of chakra because they'd just been through several back-to-back world-ending battles and just started beating the shit out of each other.
Oh, that was very good. That was very fun, rather.
If that had happened in a better series, it would have been a crowning achievement.
I do love the trope of the combat breakdown. It's very fun.
Okay, Sasuke wanted to genocide the village.
Right.
Wanted to, but just wanting to do something doesn't mean you're competent.
He was willing to genocide the village. That's pretty fucking bad.
Oh, it absolutely is. Don't deny that at all. Not only was he willing to, he probably would have done it too.
Yeah.
If it weren't for those meddling kids.
And their stupid, fox demon thing.
Alright, that's honestly me done, so Fuzzy, you do your gripe.
My gripe is simultaneously not at all sensible, but also kind of smart. Let's talk about the ships.
Okay.
Some of them at least make sense, others come right the fuck out of nowhere.
So this is what I planned. This was my plan all along.
All according to Cake?
Mm.
Yes, translator note, cake me, cake up.
Etc., etc. We all know the joke.
Mhm.
No, we know. So let's talk a little bit. You know what? I have the perfect transition point between my discussion of ships and Mel's discussion. I didn't sleep last night. Please forgive me.
Would it be
Please
Sakura?
take care of yourself, man.
Insomnia's a bitch.
Hmm.
As you can tell by the fact that I have sworn twice on this stream, which I generally do not do.
But yeah, I'm
Yep,
gonna
that's
make
true.
I'm gonna make the guess that your jumping off or your transition point is Sakura.
Yes.
Considering
Click on that.
Sasuke and Sakura is a fucking awful relationship, no matter what point in the story you like choose to say it, or you choose to pick out.
The hate through you.
You
Well-
came through quiet there, Fuzzy. What was that?
Let the hate flow through you.
The ship is pretty garbage, yes. But honestly, like it's yeah, it's one of the worst ships in the series, if we're being honest.
It's probably one of the worst ships in Shonen, period. It's not an exaggeration, even.
It's super toxic, though. I will say basically anything involving Death Note's author is probably worse.
I don't count that. You know why?
No.
Because you have an expectation going in. And I'm pretty sure the Death Note... Okay, so there's intentionally toxic, and then there's ignorantly toxic. I think Kishimoto thinks he did a good job with the run. Whereas Death Note's author at least realized what he was writing was bricked up, and that's what he's into. That's his kink.
I mean, you could argue that for Death Note. You can't really argue that for his other manga.
I don't even know what his other manga is, so it's...
Bakuman.
Bakuman, and the other one is
Platinum.
Wrote Bakuman?
Yeah.
Yup. Explain things?
Yes, but also what?
Also,
Yep.
Jack and I put Sasuke and Sakura as sixth from the bottom in terms of anime canon ships.
The stuff below it would not surprise you.
Wait, when did you do an Azure Lane and Kantai collection tier list? You get it?
No.
Because anime canon ships.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're literal
Hmm.
ships with cannons. Look!
Regardless.
It was a good joke!
Regardless.
I mean, while we're on the subject, I don't believe we put a Naruto ship higher than C.
We did not.
Shikamaru and Tamari is acceptable.
That was the
That
highest
is the one
one.
we put in C.
That is the highest one, yes.
Because while
I
they
think
had
the
very
only
few
other-
interactions with each other, at the very least, the few interactions they had with each other were relatively positive and wholesome.
They did have good chemistry at the very
They had
least.
chemistry, which is not something you see in shonen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my basic idea is that shonen ships in traditional shonen get penalized more in my eye than ships in series like Death Note, because in series like Death Note they know what they're doing when they make a horrifically toxic relation. Such is usually not the case with the traditional shonen stuff, at least in my experience. But no. There is something deeply intriguing about the Sasuke-Sakura relationship. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. It's intriguing in the sense that it is the sort of thing that I would believe if I saw it in real life. Because it is just that levels of intense mental illness. The problem is that it's a level of intense mental illness that was very clearly not intended to be presented as mental illness. You get what I'm saying?
I believe so.
That is a ship that inherently makes no sense, and that's fine in many ways, because ships rarely do, especially in shonen. What's fascinating is how, despite not being intended as such, it is a textbook toxic abusive relationship. That's what I mean by intriguing.
Hmm.
Very obviously, Kishimoto did not mean to present it as this super negative thing. But the funniest part is that it is.
Can we also just talk about how a lot of the ships in the epilogue just come right the fuck out of nowhere? Or at least not a lot of ships, but some of the ships are just like
Well,
complete assholes.
for them to have not come out of nowhere, that would require Kishimoto to spend time on characters that aren't, Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, maybe.
That's another thing, though. Like,
A
we can get into
miracle
it in a
that
second.
I
But,
got a moment.
like,
Now,
the
it was
thing
a
is,
completely meaningless moment, but it was a moment.
like, a lot of the earlier arcs do a lot of good setup for character introductions and like stuff that can be done with them, and Kishimoto does nothing with that. Especially in the
About
later
fact
stages of Naruto, of Part 2.
is okay. But let's just before we get tangentialized, because I we did do this. I'd like to go a bit more on the Sasuke Sakura ship.
Okay.
No, I'd like to analyze it in the same way that we analyzed the Naruto Sasuke ship. What is the at no point did Kishimoto even try to give a convincing reason for them to be together, or for her to care about him. What do you think was going through his head?
Don't know.
I like, and I saw several memes to this effect, but it's a picture of, or I believe the title was something to the effect of the guy who was chasing you versus the guy you ended up with, and it was a picture of Nart's happy family, like Hinata and his two kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other picture was, I don't even know where the image was sourced from, but it's just a picture of Sakura alone in a dark room, face palming, like sitting alone at a table in a dark room, just with her head in her hands. And that really does sum up that entire love triangle, if you can even call it that. Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, it almost seems like Kishimoto wrote exclusively characters who are toxic masochists.
Mm.
He wrote characters who exclusively chase after people who treat them badly. Right?
I think you're giving him too much credit.
No. I'm not saying that he did it intentionally. I'm saying that that's how it ended up becoming. I'm very interested in what a person's mind is like that happens by accident. Do you get where I'm coming from? Nart's entire arc was seeking validation from people who treated him like crap, including Sasuke. So was Sakura's. It's just very interesting in that way to me. the sense that it doesn't make any like sense to anyone with like functioning. But it's just how does this occur? At this point, I'm more interested in it as a case study than anything.
Mm.
Yes, the ships, like, other than the fact that Sakura literally spent her life chasing a man who put a baby in her and then immediately proceeded not to spend any time with her, to the point that her literal child found it more realistic that she was actually someone else's daughter because her father spent more time with that person.
Yeah, when I heard about that plot line, I genuinely believed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that seemed like it would have it was honestly, it made more sense. And it's one of those things that would have I would have preferred that, quite frankly, if that had been the actual case. Because I feel like that would have been preferable to what we actually ended up.
Yeah, quite probably. Anyways,
do you want me to
speaking
go?
of Sakura, let's talk about female characters.
All right.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Mel?
I mean, I was gonna say, do you want me to go through some of the moments that TV Tropes believes were ship teas for Sasuke and Sakura?
I would love
Let's
to.
not. Let's
I
not
would
subject
lo-
ourselves. I'd rather not subject myself to this.
Okay, we can briefly touch on some of the other ships that came completely out of left field.
Choji and what's her face?
Yeah, that was the immediate one that came to mind. They did not interact. They didn't meet once on screen.
Yep.
Single time.
It's honestly kind of wild. Like that's also like the biggest ship that just came right out of nowhere.
Something like Ino and Sai at least had the basis that she expressed physical attraction.
Yes.
At one point.
That's about as deep as that one goes, but at least there's something.
There was something. They literally didn't meet. I don't think that character did anything outside of exist. Like she was a literal
no, she pops up at a couple
character.
points, but like she's just like mostly there is like there to establish like, hey, there are ninjas from the Cloud Village. Here's one of them.
She's there to establish that black people exist in the universe and are generally heavily stereotyped and tokenized.
Oh yeah, good old Killer Bee and his rap battles. I do like Killer Bee as a character.
Killer Bee is not a bad character, but he's a problematic character because for many reasons.
Problematic characters in Naruto. Killer Bee is just the only one
particularly problematic for more global reasons.
Yes, he's much more problematic for reasons of his race than like the gender stuff, which we do need to get into.
Yeah, but anything else that sticks out? Oh, do you want to know something funny?
Depends on what it is.
Just another example of why Bort is trash.
Oh, please, do elaborate.
Apparently, Dara received a very well-written novel that had him enter a romantic relationship with a well-written character, and then Bort retconned it.
That's dumb.
Sounds about right
Like,
for
They
Naruto.
literally had an entire novel concerning that was essentially a love story for Gaara, with a strong female lead, and they retconned it in Bort because I guess Kishimoto thought Gaara having some level of happiness was out of character.
Mm-hmm. Very unfortunate. Speaking of Gaara, I do think his introduction in the Chunin exams was very interesting, and I do wish Kishimoto had done more with that side of Gaara
Oh,
before, having
speaking
him
of power
turn.
scaling, Shikaku.
Who?
That's very telling. The Gaara's raccoon dog. No,
Oh,
Gaara's-
Shikaku. I thought you said something else.
No, Shukaku, I believe.
Shukaku.
Shikaku.
Right.
Shikaku is Shikamaru's dad, who is also a surprisingly good character.
Yes.
Shukaku is the raccoon dog inside. That
Yes.
falls deep inside Gaara.
I forgot all their names, okay, except for
Goku.
Yeah.
He is gonna show you.
Anyways, we keep getting derailed from what I was trying to say. The female characters in Naruto are not really well handled, by and large. They are either there to pine after a male character, or there to be a damsel in distress for the most part. Most of them are either healers or other support characters rather than proper fighters themselves. There are a handful of exceptions to this, but most of those are either just
You know what's
ignored or
really-
just written out of the story.
You know what's really funny?
What?
The primary exceptions to that, which are Tsunade and it's intended to be Sakura, even though the execution is way off.
Yeah.
The explanation is literally that they are capable of combats because they're medic.
Because they're what now?
Literally, even the fighters Kishimoto feels the need to clarify that they're capable of fighting because they're medics.
I think
Their super strength is based on them being medics.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so funny to me. That he would go out of his way to say, don't worry guys, they may seem like they're fighters, but they're only capable of being fighters because they're medics. Like, do you see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm. I think the only real exception to this is the Mizukage, but she's like, a lot of her is like really dumb jokes about her age and being a cougar.
Well, the funny thing is she's like 28, 29.
Yeah, something like that. She's honestly pretty young.
She's
It's
not
this
a
whole
cougar,
thing about
she's just-
Japan just being like any woman over than 25 is quote unquote unmarriageable for some
She's
fucking
not a
stupid
cougar.
reason.
She's an adult woman, and as we know,
I didn't say that she is. It's jokes about her being one.
well,
which
no.
I think are dumb.
The point is that she's an adult woman, which may as well be a cougar, based on a lot of the anime characters we see. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure the primary person she winds up she tries flirting with, which goes nowhere, ironically enough, is her bodyguard, who's like I think like 20 or so.
No, her bodyguard is a peer to Nart and friends.
Oh, okay.
He is
looks,
a 15-year-old. Yes.
Okay. So he is younger than he looks, I guess.
Yeah, the shark teeth will do that to you.
Yeah.
And no, she does spend her time hitting on an underage boy.
Lovely.
This is also the series that sexualizes 12-year-olds, remember?
Let's not go too deep into
There were
that.
entire things about Nada having large breasts as a 12-year-old. That was There were comments made about that. There's a lot of focus on the breast size of 12-year-olds in general with Sakura.
Isn't there a whole thing about Sakura being unhappy with her chest size or some shit?
Yes.
When she's even like 15 or some shit?
When she's 12. It starts when she's 12 and does not stop for the entire series.
Oh my god. Fucking Kishimoto.
Yep.
Also, like, literally every adult woman in the series does hit on underage boy at some point.
Lovely. And that's not even getting into all the dumb romantic bullshit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tsunade flirts with Naruto and things like that. Like,
there's also the whole thing about most of Tsunade's characterization revolving around the men in her life.
yes, it is not most, all of it.
Her dead boyfriend and her dead almost boyfriend and her dead ancestor, basically.
Her dead brother. Don't forget her dead.
Her dead brother, right? Man, Tsunade's fucking cursed with all the dead people she cares about. Speaking of death, sorry, quick tangent, but how do you feel about all that death being undone at the end of the Pain arc?
That one, I don't have much of a.
You don't have much of an opinion on it?
I don't have much of a problem with it. Honestly. Like,
You think it fits?
it was internally consistent, and it was.
It was a one-time thing, which helps.
It was a one-time thing. It was internally consistent, and it was meaningful. Now, do you know what doesn't make sense?
Oh, please elaborate.
That MFer got brought back as an immortal zombie with infinite life force and the ability to replenish it by absorbing life force from others. And he happily got sealed instead of, I don't know, hanging back and becoming a medic.
Just a fucking res machine, yeah.
Yes, he literally could have single-handedly prevented every death in the series if they had done things a bit more strategically.
Poor Neji.
Neji is like the most wasted
Neji
character in Naruto.
Is not
At least
not,
that gets any spotlight.
No. He's not a wasted character. You don't understand. It's much worse than that. Neji is an insult to good writing as a concept.
I think he's kind of emblematic of a lot of the writing flaws with Naruto, and that he's like introduced as like this part of this big theme in the series, and like
Neji versus Naruto is one of the single most impactful, thematically impactful moments in the series, period. And every subsequent moment works to undo that.
it's so badly undermined by what comes later.
It's so severe that if Shimoda was a better writer, I would wonder if it was intentional.
Unfortunately, we all know that that's not the
Yes.
case.
He lacks the competence for that to be an intentional troll. So we are left with the conclusion that is just such a bad writer that he somehow succeeded in undermining entirety of his theme. Every bit of it.
It's honestly kind of
Lord
impressive.
It would be impressive if it wasn't so infuriating.
Correct. Did I say kind of impressive or almost impressive? I meant
Yes.
almost impressive. But yes.
So basically, everything Neji does and everything that happens to him is emblematic of the insult to the readership and themes of the series that Kishimoto consistently delivers.
Mm-hmm.
His entire existence is a cosmic joke.
He really just does have the worst luck in terms of how
Not
he
even
gets
luck. He has
narratively
the
utilized.
worst. He has the worst arc in the series.
Yeah, because
Do you know what
he's
his arc is? His arc is being told that nepotism isn't everything by a nepo baby, and that he is capable of rising above slavery, at which point decides to happily accept his slave. He is a literal slave.
They don't really go into detail about all the fucked up shit that the Hyuga clan does outside of Neji's stuff in the tuning exam arc.
They do actually elaborate on it in some of the side content. And it is exactly as bad as it seems. Literally, they cause torture if the seal causes torture if you don't obey the commands, and if you don't obey it long enough, it's a kill switch. They literally have right of execution.
Which is 12 kinds of fucked up.
It's a slave collar by any other name. It's literally, there's no difference between that and the slave collars that you see here. It's a discipline collar for those Codex Alera heads out there.
Mm-hmm.
Except, unlike the discipline collar, it doesn't even have a reward component. Which is still fricked up, but, like, at the very least, like, you can eventually just become numb and, unfeeling and unthinking with the discipline collar. You have to be aware every moment you have the Hyuga curse mark that you are a slave and you have no choice. No power.
Once again, so many kinds of fucked up.
Not to mention the inbreeding. Because
Yeah, isn't it implied in some side content that Neji has a crush on Hinata or some shit?
Yes.
Even though they're genetically effectively half-siblings?
No, not, that's not canon. However,
okay.
it's heavily implied that, depending on the situation, Neji and Hinata would be required to breed.
Lovely.
To preserve the purity of the... Also, you're forgetting that there canonically is incest in the series.
Oh?
Itachi's girlfriend was in
I
Uchiha.
forgot that he had a girlfriend.
He had a girlfriend that he did that one episode of Black Mirror to.
You think I remember anything about Itachi?
Speaking of poorly handled characters, I know you have plenty to say about Itachi, Fuzzy. Don't pretend you don't. Like, there's so much unfortunate about the handling of Itachi.
I think... Okay, this is not something exclusive to Itachi. I'm gonna say something.
Yeah?
I sincerely believe, and this is going to be controversial, that the majority of characters in Nart, by the end, got what they deserved.
I can see that.
Would you like me to elaborate?
Please.
Itachi. Idiot. Died horribly. That was deserved. Third Hokage. Moron. Incompetent. And overall, like, shit person. Died miserably twice. Deserved. And everyone who allowed Sakura ended up in a marriage where sees her husband once a decade. After chasing after him to the detriment of everyone who actually cared. Deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Only characters in the series who I believe did not get what they deserve. And by what they deserved, I mean, in hindsight, kind of a horrible ending, are Sasuke and Orochimaru.
I mean,
We should
Orochimaru.
talk about the karma Houdini that is Orochimaru.
Orochimaru is a genocidal, serial child murderer.
And human experimenter.
And bodyjacker.
Those are all, like, kind of the package deal. Who did all of those things and faced zero consequences.
Yep.
His only consequence was being stuck in, like, an illusion for a little bit, and that's it.
He wasn't even stuck in the illusion. Or rather, his main body wasn't stuck in the illusion. That was one of his clones.
God, I don't even remember that.
Oh, no. It was his... Well, basically, he resurrected through his clone.
Right.
Yeah, so he... Like, even the illusion wasn't actually consequential. And do you know what's even funnier? The illusion is specifically described as a world of drunken dreams, as in, it's pleasant.
Unlike the whole shit with Kabuto, who at least gets stuck in, like, a tormenting illusion for a while before he, actually has to have character development to get out, apparently. At least that's the premise of it.
Enough.
Again, it's still better than what Orochimaru got.
No. Honestly, Kabuto went from being a nothing character to one of the more well-handled characters in the series, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to be both sympathetic, internally consistent, and, like, somewhat relevant to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Which is... Wow.
Better than can be said for most of the cast, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So, all told, everyone in this series basically did stupid things, and their comeuppance was that their epilogue was basically miserable.
At least in the case for everyone who did, we know, do stupid things.
Now, granted, there are characters who did not deserve it who ended up in awful situations, like Guy.
Poor Guy. Guy legitimately had one of the best moments in the final arc, and like...
If I might have forgiven a lot of Nart's mistakes if Guy had taken out Madara.
That would have actually been incredibly awesome.
That bit of good writing alone would have salvaged a great part of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mill, you've been quiet for a while. Would you like to chime in?
I mean, I could go on about Itachi, and I mean, Itachi is very much also connected to Sasuke, who is, obviously, bar the female characters, one of the worst written characters in the series.
And let us all remember that Sasuke should be crowned in the pantheonic halls of executive meddling. Because he didn't exist until Kishimoto's editor said there needed to be a character like him.
Was that popular back in the early to mid 2000s? Like edgy pretty boy?
The edgy pretty boy who was, I believe Hiei might have popularized it to a great extent. Edgy pretty boy anti-hero, yes.
Yeah, but there's 10 years between the end of Yu Yu Hakusho and the start of Naruto. At least 10 years.
Other shonen series did pop up. That did pop up.
Yeah.
Consistently enough that it's justifiable that the editor would have pushed Kishimoto to include that. So not only did Kishimoto... It's a monkey's paw situation, right? Not only did... I'm assuming if the editor has any semblance of taste, which I doubt he does, but, like, just being generous.
Mm-hmm.
But... assuming the editor has any idea of what writing is, which is not...
Sometimes editors are good for a series, sometimes they are bad. Like, for example, Dragon Ball. We got the Android Saga as it was because of the editor.
Now, granted, it was for the wrong reasons.
It still worked out.
It worked out. It was right, but it was for the wrong reasons.
But another one was the supernovas in One Piece. Those were an editor's suggestion.
Really? I actually didn't know about that.
Yeah, the editor at the time said, "Hey, this arc needs a little bit more to it. It's kind of empty. With you think you can add some more dudes?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Give me a sec." And over the course of a night, he just banged out all the supernovas.
Considering how integral some of them have been to the story, I do wonder if they would have showed up anyway, just not all at the same time.
It is entirely possible. Who knows?
Is there
about
a way too intricately tied into foreshadowing that appears long before they exist? That it could just be Goda being Goda. But it could also be that they were planned, or at least characters like them were planned. It's just that they weren't intended to be introduced all at once.
Hard to say. Hard to say.
Like, I could see a universe where people like Law and Bonnie were arc companions. Law, Bonnie, Kid, Beige. I could see a scenario where they're arc companions like Dory and Brogy initially were. Things like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's a scenario I could envision. So it isn't entirely out of the question for me that might have been their initial role design. And then Oda just thought, maybe, why not just make a spectacle out of them?
But anyway, going back to... Wow, it's... Honestly... The Uchiha Clan Massacre being something that wasn't just, something that Itachi did. It was something that he was ordered to by, what was it, Danzo?
By Danzo.
That kind of makes everyone involved worse, I feel like.
Yes. In every way imaginable. With 100% certainty, I can say that, yes.
Yeah.
That is... It makes the third Hokage an awful person. It honestly... Do you know what's interesting? the worst offender, possibly, it even makes Ort's dad's dad bad, in hindsight.
Oh, Minato?
Yes. Is he?
Minato was dead when the Uchiha massacre happened.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that the Uchihas essentially lived in a state of apartheid. Remember, unlike the Hyugas, who stick to themselves because they're racist, the Uchihas were actively discriminated against by the second.
Yeah, because second was a bigoted asshole.
It was less bigotry, more of the clan blood. The first had an excuse. It was too close to the war. Madara was also doing some
dumb
wacky
bullshit.
nonsense. Yes. And overall, had the excuse of, well, thing is, it's too close. Like, it's too soon to be able to treat them the same. Right? The scars are too fresh of war. That, to a certain extent, it's never justifiable, but I can at least from his point of view.
Yeah.
The logic, at least, logics.
Yes. The second was just an outright, had a hate boner because of a blood feud. Right?
A
Which,
hateful boner, yes.
it's not understandable in the sense that if you are a war veteran and you suddenly have to be friendly with the people who killed your loved ones, PTSD, war does things to a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a justification, but I can at least understand. The third has no excuse, and the fourth has even less an excuse. Because Uchiha were planning a coup, which is why they were ordered to be killed. Y'all remember that?
No.
Yep.
Well, Mill obviously doesn't remember that, but yes, the basic idea is the Uchiha were planning a coup because they were an oppressed minority, and as a result, Danzo decided, you know what the solution is to a coup? Genocide.
Murder. Yes.
But the fourth was a member of a new generation, untouched by war, or at least untouched by the same war that created the bigotry and hatred in the place. Was a literal dictator. Not only was he a literal dictator, he was in a situation of asking equals authority, where to be the dictator, he was also the strongest person in the setting, or in the scenario at the time. Still did not improve, because they were not planning a coup. They were dissatisfied, but they weren't planning a coup because he and his wife had a good relationship with the head of the Uchihas and their spouse. They literally talked about, like, the women were pregnant together and were they had a conversation that implied that they were frequently visiting each other and supporting each other during the pregnancy, and that the men were doing something similar. Still didn't improve the living conditions of the Uchiha to the point that they no longer felt the need to stage a coup. Even though he was a literal dictator with both the legal and martial authority to back it up. he accomplished literally nothing in his tenure as Hokage. And then the third came back and it was a backslide. Because he suspected the Uchihas even more because of controlling the Nine Tails. He oppressed them even more. And then turned a blind eye when Danzo decided the only possible solution, instead of just having a conversation, was genocide. No, a lot of this might be information that you had forgotten. How do you feel about this?
I mean, it's only really supporting my statement that, you know, the writing of this massacre, genocide, whatever you want to call it, is like ruined a lot of characters. And you know, we haven't even talked about how it was kind of a disservice and kind of maybe not quite ruined, but certainly worsened the character of Itachi.
Yeah. He went from killing his entire family for, I don't know, reasons. It was never very clear on why he did it. He went from that to the reason I'm doing it is because I love my village so much that I'm willing to kill everyone else I love to protect it. And my first, and as a do you know what's so funny about that? Even more so, if Itachi as a 13-year-old boy was powerful enough to put the entire village the entire clan under his control, there was nothing stopping him from just taking leadership of the clan and telling them no coup or I kill the shit disturbers.
There's so many holes in the plot, really.
There was nothing stopping him. He was already strong enough to kill the entire clan. All he needed to do was demonstrate that once and be like, no coup.
No coup for you.
Why do you think it was that plot point was introduced?
It was to make Itachi more sympathetic, I imagine.
Yes, literally for no other reason than to make Itachi
a sympathetic mass murderer, basically.
But what's the point, though? Like, Itachi had been basically the main villain or one of the main villains up until this point. Him and Orochimaru were basically the two main villains of the series.
But you see, it was all for the sake of Sasuke.
How does it help Sasuke, though? How does it help Sasuke?
Okay. Okay, so that's both the Watsonian and the Doylean explanation.
Doylist, yeah.
Listen, I'm the one who uses it the most. I can call them whatever I want.
Alright.
The Watsonian and Doylean, I don't like. It makes more sense if they follow the same thing. It's either the Watsonist and Doylist or Watsonian and Doylean. I refuse to have them.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if Conan Doyle heard you were using his name in the same sentence as one of his Sherlock Holmes characters, I think he would beat you into unconsciousness.
He'd probably succeed, but like, he'd pull his mustache.
Anyway, what were you
saying? A lot to pull there. Yeah. So, the Doylean explanation is, the Watsonian explanation is that Itachi was like, even ignoring the fact that he killed his entire family, he played the villain so that he gave Sasuke a reason. He apparently loved Sasuke more than his literal lover, who he apparently loved enough to simulate an entire life where they lived together until they died of old age. Did you know that?
No.
Used Tsukuyomi to literally simulate him and his girlfriend falling in love, like staying in a relationship, getting married, having a family, and then dying together of old age.
Was that his idea of comforting her before he murdered her?
She didn't even know that he murdered him. Or that he murdered her.
Makes.
She thought she died of old age.
Mm-hmm. So it was a
Because-
comforting illusion as she died, basically.
Yes. Yes. But apparently he loved her enough for that, but that's not even close to how much he loved his little brother. He was like an infant barely capable of expressing emotion.
I mean, let's be honest.
And
Sasuke at the end of the series was barely capable of expressing himself properly. I don't think that was an age thing. I think that was just a him thing.
yeah, but so the in-universe explanation is by giving him hatred, he would prevent him from falling into despair and killing himself. Which, you know, if your beloved older brother kills your entire family, including extended family, then no, I could understand
The worry.
taking some drastic measures.
Yeah.
Huh?
The worry that would happen,
And-
yes.
Yes. And also to set him up for the Eternal Mangekyo, which, you know, that was an entire thing, which... The magic system is bad, but the eyes at least are somewhat internally consistent until the end.
Yep.
And... The, in the, Oilian explanation, the out-of-universe explanation, was he wanted to make Sasuke a more sympathetic, popular, likable character. And what better way to do that than to make him grieve his misunderstood brother after his death?
By wanting to kill the village. That's my
That
issue
he
here.
died to protect, really.
Yeah, that's my issue here. Is that twist doesn't do anything for Sasuke in terms of making him more likable, because he goes straight into
Well, no,
I want to
you
murder
have
the
to
village
understand.
now.
You have to understand, considering the fact that Sasuke consistently topped the popularity polls, I'm pretty sure to the Japanese audience that did make him more likable.
It was a
Which-
whole
Are
thing
we
with,
are we really gonna trust the Japanese audience on how likable
No,
the
we
character
shouldn't.
is?
So the thing
Remember,
is,
That's
in that
who
regard-
Kishimoto was writing to.
In that regard, I do think it does. It being for a Japanese audience does explain a couple things, because it's a whole thing with fucking filial piety. Because
That's not as
he's-
big a thing in Japan.
Really?
No, it's more of a Chinese thing, and slightly more of a Korean thing. But in Japan, especially with the post World War II U.S. indoctrination and general westernization of the culture, it did move in a more individualistic direction than the other East Asian bloc.
I suppose I
Filial
could see that.
piety, while it is a thing, it's much more nebulous and not as strictly defined.
Mm.
Believe me, I say this as someone who has read probably more Japanese, Korean, and or Chinese novels individually than you have read novels.
Probably.
It's sad, but that's not hyperbole.
Regardless, shit, there was another topic I wanted to bring up with regard to this roast.
Anyway,
Back.
I like the
don't-
flavor
yeah,
of the roast we've been doing so far.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't care that Kishimoto was clearly writing for Japanese audiences. It still sucked.
Yep.
It's
I'll be
still
right
If you're writing for a
fucking
specific
sucked.
audience, to still be writing shit.
Yeah. Sasuke's not a good character. He really isn't.
Sasuke is probably the worst written character in the game. In the series, rather.
I mean, certainly the worst one that gets actual writing devoted to him. I don't know whether we can
Yeah.
consider, you know, the complete, you know, being completely ignored is on the same level as Sasuke's writing failures, but still.
Speaking of being completely ignored, can we just talk about real quick how the Kishimoto tried to make the whole Team 7 main trio thing a thing and barely wrote Sakura at all outside of like bits here and there. Like the best writing she gets is at the beginning of part 2, and that's it.
Yeah.
Who?
Sakura. I know that's a joke, Fuzzy, but
No, I literally just came back.
Ah, no, Sakura. Talking about how badly written.
But also,
Sakura
it's
is.
funny.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yes.
it was amusing in hindsight, but yes.
yes.
She literally peaked in the Sasori fight.
That's
And
what I was
somehow-
talking about.
And
Yeah.
what's funny is that wasn't even her fight. Didn't even do that much.
She was literally used as a puppet by the actual focus of that fight. Still really neat fight in concept, but like, good god.
So what you're saying is that her peak her peak moment as a character was the time she was literally used as an object by another character.
Yep. When you say it like that, pretty fucking damning.
Damning doesn't even begin to cover it.
Yep.
But yeah, the point is that Sakura never has an arc really of her own. She's just defined by her attachments to Naruto and Sasuke.
like her mentor, she is defined entirely by the men in her life.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is, a big issue. Also, I do gotta say, Naruto himself, his character arc basically ends with the pain arc. Like, there's very little development for him afterwards. And, there's a little bit during the Shinobi War where it's like him struggling with his inner demons and shit, while he's off on his vision quest while everyone else is fighting and dying. And that's about it. There's very little else explored with him during that whole fucking war arc, despite him being the ostensible protagonist.
Well, let's point out the pain ended at chapter 453.
Which is about 2/3 of the way into the actual full manga.
Yeah, Naruto ended at 699.
700 exactly, actually.
700 exactly, my bad.
Yep.
So, yeah. Great. Main character gets no fucking, or gets very little development, all the way.
For about 250 out of the
Yeah.
700 chapters.
Yeah. Great.
Just peak writing there, Kishimoto. Peak writing.
Do we want to talk about the Talk No Jutsu?
Might as well. It's one of the most memed on flaws of the series.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Despite being one of the most memed on flaws of the series, it's nowhere near the biggest flaw of the series.
No.
Yep.
In hindsight, it's not.
It's really not. Like, it's a long and storied thing, even outside of shonen. It's a big thing in, like, media aimed at younger audiences.
It's not even just aimed at younger audiences. The rousing speech that convinces your enemies to turn over a new leaf, that's not just common, that's, like, nearly universal culturally.
Yeah, I do think, like,
I mean,
it can be handled well, and it has been handled well many times. The whole thing of reasoning an enemy into, either standing down or outright flipping sides. It's been a thing forever. And it's a cheesy trope, but it can work. And when it does work, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think the series abuses that trope. And sometimes in very unrealistic ways. Naruto talking down Nagato makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a shared mentor. They have a lot in common.
They're from the same clan.
Yes,
Like,
they have the same
literally,
ancestry.
And unironically, yeah, they don't necessarily know it at the time, but they are
They
share
are
blood.
distantly related, yes. But that makes sense. What makes less sense is Naruto trying to talk no jutsu several other characters during the war arc, and it's somehow working
Succeeding,
in
yes.
Yeah, it's just... It would make more sense if other characters tried it and it worked with them when they have a more personal connection with the characters being talked down.
I mean, how do we feel about Obito and Toby?
God, we haven't
They
even
make
touched
no
on that
sense
shit.
as characters. Period.
What was that, Fuzzy?
The motivation for Toby is just so flimsy.
They make no sense as characters. Period.
Like, I remember people were like, oh, Toby is Obito, obviously, for a while, and everyone was shocked at the twist anyways, and then it's like, in retrospect, while the twist is, like, set up, it
Twist
also
is
is
generous.
like... Yes. While it's
Calling
set
it a
up and
twist is
everything, at the same time, like, it's also just, like, a very... It just fucks up the motivations for both halves of the character. Once it actually gets properly revealed. Because, like, you have this guy who's just, like, a sweet kid who is, like, supposed to be the one good egg out of the Uchiha clan.
Which
supposedly.
we later learn is literal propaganda.
Yes.
Because they weren't really bad people. They were just...
Very emotional and bad at controlling it. Yes.
And also, like, an oppressed minority. Never forget that bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's the whole thing about, like, bloodline techniques being, like, frequently persecuted. That's the whole thing of Haku's backstory. That's introduced early on, and Kishimoto does fuck all with it.
Well, it's not persecuted universally, it's specifically in that one village.
Yeah, but still, like, he introduced the concept of persecution based off of bloodline techniques, and he doesn't do anything with it outside of that. Like, the Uchihas are an accidental example of it. I don't think it was intentional on Kishimoto's part to make them like that.
No, it wasn't. Anything that makes sense in this series is not intentional on Kishimoto.
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about how many characters just get absolutely fucking wasted and just underutilized horribly. Or just get poorly utilized all the time.
How many of the Konoha 12 actually mattered?
None
Like,
of them act like
half of them
literally
at
none.
most. Like, yeah, no, like, the only ones who are, like, substantially plot relevant for the whole manga are Naruto and Sasuke. After them, maybe, like, 2 or 3 are, like, tangentially relevant to individual arcs here and there. Everyone else is just on the fucking sidelines. Like,
Why did they
as
never
much as
do
I talk
anything with
about-
Shino?
As much as I fucking...
Why did they never do anything with Shino? I liked Shino.
Yeah.
You know why you probably like Shino?
Why?
Because he wasn't ruined by Kishimoto's bullshit.
Yeah, he didn't show up frequently enough to be ruined.
Also, like, as much as I fucking love Rock Lee dropping the weights in his fight with Gaara, Kishimoto does almost nothing with him outside of that. Like, there's a fight with the Bone Dude, and that's it.
Yeah, he very much gets the shaft in part 2.
Also, they brought up his whole drunken fist technique once and never touched it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that that was genuinely really cool and funny.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so much wasted potential with this, and, like, there's so much page time that could have been used for them. But it's spent introducing new characters who also go on to do nothing.
I mean, let's look at the 9 members of the Konoha 12 that aren't, Team 7. So you've got Hinata, Shino, and Kiba.
Hinata is
Hinata
most
only
plot relevant.
Yeah, because she's attracted to Naruto, and that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, exactly.
She slept
Her
her way
entire
into that
character is, in
page
fact,
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
her entire character is defined by
Her attraction to the main character, who is
Yeah.
a man, yes.
Yeah.
which started from "It was nice to me when I was a child."
Yes. There are worse bases for relationship in this series.
Yeah.
Team 10, though. Team 10 gets even fucking less outside of that one focal arc with them. That's mostly about Shikamaru.
Yeah.
Like, some of the guys in teams 8 and 10 get some focus during the Sasuke
Again, this
retrieval
is-
arc, but that's about it.
And this is mostly in, you know, Shippuden. This is mostly in Shippuden that this is happening. Like, a lot of these characters' screen time does actually happen in the first part. You know,
Yeah.
Kiba, Choji, Shikamaru, and Neji get good fights in the Sasuke retrieval arc.
Yeah, that's a really good arc for their fights. In general, it's a really good arc.
And then they just get fucking forgotten about in Shippuden.
And that's not even getting into Ino, Sakura, and especially 10-10.
Oh, 10-10. Jesus Christ.
Who?
I think one fight in the manga is completely fucking off screen.
You know what's even funnier about 1010?
What?
Canonically, she is a user of what is essentially most powerful family of techniques in the series, and she uses it to throw things at people.
Oh, summoning techniques, right?
Healing, specifically.
Summoning what now?
Stealing.
Sealing, right. Yeah, really busted ass techniques. Like, the only technique family that I think is more busted is Sage Mode.
Yep. And even that's not by a lot.
Here's a question for you. What's 1010's last name?
Doesn't have one.
Last name.
Yeah, she's never given one. Everyone else gets one. She isn't. Kishimoto
And to be
didn't
fair-
even bother to give her one in like any supplementary material.
So fucking dumb.
You know what she does in the
What?
epilogue? She runs a weapon shop. That's it.
Yeah.
In peacetime, which is fun.
Mhm.
Well, it's not really peacetime because the moon people. are
Oh god,
showing up.
don't get me started on Kaguya and the bullshit involving the moon people. Like, Kaguya was such an asshole.
Okay, what the...
Kishimoto literally brought her in because he had no other way to get rid of Madara. Because he made Madara too overpowered.
Alright, two things. One, apparently, Kishimoto said he preferred 1010 out of the 4 Konoha 12 girls because he liked her design. Well, you didn't fucking draw it very often. And 2, 1010 and Neji have the same theme in the anime. 1010's is just slower. So they couldn't even be bothered to make a new theme for 1010. They just gave a Neji's but slowed down.
Speaking of character designs, actually, I do have something to say about that. So, you know how all the characters' designs change in Shippuden?
Mhm.
You notice how all the designs in Shippuden are much simpler? It's because Kishimoto wanted to streamline the artistic process in Shippuden, which I can understand if you're drawing a weekly manga. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I
no,
get it.
I'm not gonna get on Kishimoto's back for that. A lot of manga artists have done that.
Yeah,
That's fine. That is acceptable.
No, we'll accept that. I think we all understand how much of a fucking hellscape the weekly manga grind is. We're not gonna.
Oh, yeah. It's just something I want to point out.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
fair,
want to condemn it
fair.
because, again,
But, yeah, like
weekly manga is just like hell.
Yeah, but
like
at no
when
point
fucking Toriyama was like, I'm gonna give Goku a form with blonde hair so that I don't have to ink his fucking hair anymore. That's
We appreciate the
we,
lazy
it wasn't-
king in those situations.
we stand that.
it wasn't even about him. It was so his assistant wouldn't have to ink
Yeah,
it.
but we
I mean,
stand that kind of
that's
laziness.
even better though. That's
yeah.
based. That's
Yeah,
based.
no, we are happy with that. You know, fucking Haikyuu simplified its character designs midway through, and again, it's because fucking drawing them so often is just gonna get tedious and time consuming when they're as detailed as they are at the start. Like any
Yes.
long-running series, you will see a noted, simplification of, at the very least, the designs as the of the character designs as the series
I'm
goes
pretty
on.
sure that's also why Kishimoto just made all of the characters during the Ninja War wear the same fucking uniform.
Probably, yeah.
Even though it made it a lot harder to follow like the big crowd sequences. Because all the distinct character designs were now just in uniform with the same fucking headband and everything.
Mm.
But yes. There are flaws to that approach, as it turns out.
Mm.
God, there's so much we haven't tackled, but, like, at the same time, it's, like, this is a very, very deeply flawed series.
It's a 700 chapter series. We could go chapter by chapter and be here for another week if we wanted to.
Let's not do that.
No.
I'd like to
could
have
do that
at least...
Had any reason to make content, but as we all know, no one watches this. Which is
It's their prerogative. They choose how
Yeah.
they spend their time.
not inherently a bad thing. It's just more like I
Eh,
wish they would watch it.
I'm mostly doing this for
Not
me at
gonna,
this
but I wish
point.
they would.
I'm
Yeah.
mostly doing this for me at this point.
We've got a
No,
lot
this
off our
was
chest
always
with
for
this.
us.
Yes. I think we've got a lot off our chest with this one, honestly.
Yeah, I think we talked about the big points as well. Like, if we were to continue, we would just be going into, like, little bits and pieces now.
I agree, but like, are there any? I feel like we're missing something, and I mean like a proper big thing. I just have a nagging feeling for some reason.
I mean,
Is it to do with Kakashi? Because we haven't talked about him at
yeah,
all.
we haven't talked about Kakashi.
Mentors. Okay, you know what? We should maybe talk about the mentors in general.
The mentors are very mixed handling, honestly.
Yes, the mentors in this series are a massive mix.
Like, Kurenai gets absolutely fucking nothing. She, like...
No,
we see
Kurenai.
her- We see her briefly, she gets knocked up by Asuma, and then she's just completely
Her
off the narrative.
her entire character that is based around the man in her life.
Mm-hmm. Asuma fucking dies before we get much character development from him.
The only reason he died is because he was expendable, because he was a side character who we didn't really care about in the first place.
The
Or,
funny thing is,
that was
like,
the
he is a member of the same clan as the third Hokage.
And that's not, at no point is that,
He's the son of the third Hokage! What?
yeah, no, he's literally, he's younger son of the third Hokage.
Just, like... That's never explored! Just, like... No exploration of that, even though it's a major possible avenue of exploration for that.
Yep.
It's just... Like, a lot of mentors are wasted. The only ones who, like, get a lot of exploration are, like, the ones tied in with the Sanin to some degree or another. Like, either the one who, third Hokage who mentored them, or the ones who were mentored by them. That's the only real mentor relationships that get explored to any degree, except for Kakashi.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Everything else is just, like, mentioned briefly, and it's like, oh, they had a mentor relationship. Cool, 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 cool. You gonna do anything with that, Kishimoto? You gonna do anything with that? No? Okay. Disappointing. You got anything to add, Fuzzy? Oh, besides Guy being, like, so close to greatness.
Guy is this, like,
I mean, here's the thing, though.
okay,
Guy is only a good mentor to Rock Lee.
Yeah, he
Yes,
has a very clear
that is the other
favorites.
thing, is that,
He basically
Is
ignores the
he-
rest of his team, from what I remember.
To be fair, I
But
think
here's the
Rock Lee needed the favoritism because he had no ninjutsu whatsoever.
no, Rock Lee had a disability, so he kind of needed it. Meanwhile, Tenten had her clan stuff to fall back on, or not Tenten. Neji had his clan techniques to fall back on, like, so there wasn't really much he could have taught him anyway. And 10-10 was 10-10.
Or Tenten just got absolutely fucking
10-10
nothing.
could have used the help.
Yes, but that would require Kishimoto to, like, treat women with some basic level of decorum.
Kishimoto had 3 types of women he wrote. Women who were reliant on character development from the men in their lives, women who were dead, and women who had no narrative intention whatsoever.
No, you're forgetting the women who exist only to be sex objects.
Right. 4 types, you're right. It's just so bad. So bad.
Really is.
We did talk about this quite a bit during the female characters in Shonen, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any better.
Nope.
I mean, should we mention that of the 4 teams in the Konoha 12, every one of them has a token female who gets to do
Yes!
far less
Yeah.
than their male counterparts in their team?
That's not entirely true. Team 8, the one female character, is more prominent because she's the love interest of the main male character. And that's it.
Yeah, I guess, but...
That is the only reason she is more prominent than her
Yeah.
teammates. Just so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And all... Like, the thing is, like, female characters are almost always the dedicated medics, too, which is just, like, a whole other trope that is not exclusive to Kishimoto, but it's still annoying. God.
Apparently, Iruka wanted to fight Kurama, which would be funny, because he'd just get squished.
Oh, he get absolutely murked. Yeah. Very funny.
Okay, this is gonna sound cruel, but that would be a better use of him than what ended up happening with him.
What use of him? He got used, like, briefly in the first arc, and that's it.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. There's not much left to talk about that we
Yeah.
haven't talked about previously. Beyond nitpicking, and we don't like nitpicking here, do we?
Oh, we do, just not when we've already gone so long.
Yeah, also, we're not CinemaSins. We're not going to nitpick the smallest things.
No. We'll say though,
Look.
as just one last shot along the bow for the Naruto franchise, Boruto ruins Naruto's character.
Oh yeah, it makes him a neglectful dad. That's fun.
It also does the funny thing, it doubles down on trying to make Sasuke likable by having Bork literally idolize him.
Which, yeah, it's dumb. Even if it's a whole rebelling against the dad thing, it's still dumb.
Yeah, just idolize the person who casually wanted to commit genocide and only stopped because he got the crap kicked out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
It's literally the only reason he stopped. Yes, go on.
Oh, and Orochimaru is hanging around in the background, just doing nothing in Bort, just watching over his kid, and nobody does anything about it. But yes,
Man
we
should
should
not be allowed anywhere near children, let alone having one.
We should.
Oh, yeah, did you realize that Orochimaru, who is coded as a child, coded as a Mr. Bad Touch, is also the only canonical LGBT character in the manga?
Right?
Oh, that's really funny.
I believe they are gender fluid or something.
Funny is not necessarily the word I'd use for it, but okay.
It's not funny. It's horrifying and awful.
It's funny in the we laugh so that we don't cry sense.
Fair.
Exactly.
Fair. But yes. We should probably wrap this up now. So thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed the Roast of Naruto. Been waiting for it for a long time. We probably could have done more prep, but that would require us to read or watch Naruto, and I don't think any of us were willing to do that.
I have read through it the once, and I do not wish to do it again.
How do you think Naruto would be as a series if it had ended with part 1?
I feel like it would probably be better.
It would have been unfulfilling, but ultimately not awful.
Mm-hmm.
If part 1 ended the exact way it did, as opposed to like having an actual proper resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Just something I was
TFS
thinking
on
about.
their recent GTFS, and I think also just in general have made a very good point. Is never care more about a series than its because you will inevitably be disappointed.
Yeah.
Good old disappointments.
Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Some future stuff, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, as always. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and press that bell icon, etc., etc.
And otherwise, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Good evening. It's only 8 o'clock.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.